chair going. Now I can see over the steering wheel. Good morning and welcome to the Walton County Technical Review Committee meeting for Wednesday, November 17th. I have a number of items on our agenda this morning and some continuances. Do we have any other announcements this morning? I'm going to make one. It is the policy of this committee and anyone appearing before this committee that we all remain civil with one another. This is not the place to display tremendous emotion, even if you have that. And we will not tolerate any disrespect of one another. We're all neighbors, we're all friends, and that's the way we're going to all behave. And if we have any deviations from that, we have a bailiff, and I will have you removed from this room. And I appreciate everybody's cooperation on that, and we're all going to do our best to adhere to that. So with that said, let's consider the minutes from November 3rd. Do we have any adjustments to those minutes?
I don't see any adjustments. Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the November 3rd TRC minutes as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Seeing none, the minutes from November 3rd are hereby approved. I think we have some recommended continuances, but they're right at the beginning of our agenda, so we'll take those in the order of the agenda. The Draper Townhomes, we have a request to continue to the December 15th TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Could we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to December 15th at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Moving to agenda number 3, the Fayard self-storage expansion. This major development is requesting to continue to December 15th also. Could we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
I have motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the December 15th TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. And that will move us to item number 4. This is a major development that has been reviewed by Stephen Schoen. It was continued from November 3rd. Stephen, if you could introduce for us.
Good morning. The Harstvedt Road Subdivision is a request to approve by final order. Project number number MAJ 21-000017 is a major development order application submitted by Anderson Engineeri on behalf of Roberts Real Estate Invest LLC, requesting to develop 31 townhomes. You'll see that there was, or there is a discrepancy in the ad. We received a resubmittal after the ad was submitted, decreasing the density down to 31 townhomes on 4.78 plus or minus acres with the future land use of residential and a zoning district of neighborhood infill. The property is located in District 5 and can be identified by the parcel number in your staff report, which I would like to enter into the record, please.
So enter. Thank you.
If I may also enter the separate Public Works engineering comments as well.
The November 16th.
Yes, thank you. As you can see, there are a number of outstanding comments from most of the reviewing staff reviewers, excuse me. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them now. If not, I'll turn it over to the agent.
I would like to make a couple of clarifications, just based on some public comments that we've received. The sign updating, just for clarification, The code requires the sign to be posted 14 days in advance of the first TRC hearing. If we continue the item at TRC to the very next meeting, that's approximately 14 days, which does not provide the opportunity to update the sign within 14 days in advance of that next meeting. We ask that the sign be updated with the new date and time of a continuation hearing as a courtesy to the neighborhood. There is no land development code requirement that be done within 14 days. We absolutely expect the agent to do that as expeditiously as possible after the continuance is determined. But that is not a means of noncompliance with the land development code. And I see that from certain folks on a regular basis. I just want to make sure that was clarified. The initial notice is absolutely required, and if that posting fails to meet that test, then we have to continue it. But subsequent to that, any further sign updates are done as a courtesy and is done as goodwill. They're not required by the land development code if we continue to a date certain. So just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman for the applicant. We are aware of we received the staff report and the comments. We do appreciate the notation on the advertisement to be corrected, assuming that will occur as it moves forward. This is an application for 31 townhomes on just under 5 acres off of Harstvedt Road. What we are aware that we have some comments that we need to address, and some of those comments would require some additional getting together of the parties that are doing the projects. So we are completely aware of that. What we'd like to do, if it's possible, is if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak on the project, if we could, we'd like to let them do that and take, try to take that into, take notes on it, get involved in that if it's possible at this time. And then if we need to address anything that needs to be addressed at the end. Is that okay?
I think that'd be a great idea
Okay, awesome, thanks.
for offering that. And we'll consider that this time. Do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on a technical compliance matter related to this particular?
My name is Margaret Landry. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I guess I'm just worried about, of course, the density. Everybody knows Chad Holly floods a lot, and it's neighborhood infill, so they could either have 10 homes or 36 or anywhere in that range. And it just seems with the flooding and the density that we have that less would be better. I also think with the compatibility in that area of Chat Holly to the bay is not as dense. And so the compatibility issue, to me, of course, as neighbor, I don't see it fit. I think that we do have some large developments, but we also have a lot of land that is, an acre, 2 acres, or whatever. So those are just the two things I wanted to say, is the flooding and the compatibility issue, of course, as a community member. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. If you'd come to the podium and state and spell your last name for the record, please.
Melissa Bailey, B-A-I-L-E-Y, and I appreciate your clarification on the sign. Thank you. So something I'd also like clarification on is they've tried to go in there and bush hog the land again, but they don't have a permit. Are they allowed to do that?
No, ma'am, they're not. I personally have inspected that and determined that what has been done out there does does not require restoration. They immediately ceased and removed the equipment, and we're satisfied that we have compliance now.
Okay, and I appreciate that you want to work with the community. So this is a neighborhood infill. According to the code, it's supposed to go with what's in there, and this may or may not be your technical issue, but they're wanting townhomes. There are no townhomes in that area. So is that,
Perfectly fine. A townhome style development is an allowable use within neighborhood infill. Compatibility does not mean exactly the same.
so they could potentially put townhomes in there?
Yes. Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak on this particular item? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I couldn't see your hand.
Hi, my name is Donna McCallister, and I'm a resident of Mosaic Oak Circle. And I might be being repetitive, but I just wanted to make sure that with the townhomes, I just wanted to speak to the applicant that originally we had talked about homes going back there, and they're talking about building a pool and those kind of things, especially because our house borders that area. Is first of all, they're doing a lot of destruction back there to trees and so forth, and we want to make sure that our borders are controlled and we still have some access to the forest. But building a pool and the noise that that's going to bring in, and the traffic, because you're building townhomes, and I'm sure there's going to probably be 2 to 3 people in each townhome, that's a huge issue for us. And we've addressed that several times, but I just wanted to make sure that I brought that forward. So that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak on this particular item? Seeing no other hands up, we'll close this particular portion of this item. Would you like to speak to any of that, or? Sure, we can hear you.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. And the reason why is in case anybody wants to say anything. So with respect to some of the comments, we do appreciate the conversations and the concerns of the neighborhood. I would like to, one, address that we did remove the pool. So the concern about the noise and activity at a pool center, that's been removed. Specifically, we've taken any kind of development out of the wetlands and moved that stormwater pond to the center of that drive. And that would be treated with, besides it being a retention pond, it would also have sort of a fountain amenity to that and some beautification for the purpose of the neighborhood. We are looking at all of the buffering around the properties to ensure that they have significant and substantial compatibility buffering. We've included a fence along the western border that is and when I say fence, I mean it is because the architectural code part of that refers to it as masonry, but it's more like a hardy board, so it's more natural in its intent. It looks a little more neighboring than rather a big, concrete wall or whatever. And then in addition to that, there would be the additional landscaping to, if it's, or leaving it the natural vegetation and only filling in where we might need to. We will be looking at the plan a little bit more tightly to determine what we can do to compensate. And just as a reminder to this board, we do have a significant impact on that property. Both wetlands on the south and on the north is a mosquito ditch that we have to protect. It's a 25-foot buffer along that. We're leaving it alone. And so there's a little bit of a constraint as to the area. And that is the reason that single-family lots are not applicable on this piece of property. They do not, this property doesn't facilitate that type of spreading out of lot areas. Because as we know, you own the lot, you clear the lot. Let's just be clear. And that's just not what we want here. It's meant to be a little bit more sensitive to the area. We will be resubmitting, and we have some things that we need to clean up on the site plan and the rest of the documentation. But I just wanted to make sure that we got that on the record. The pool is gone. There will be compatibility buffers and a fence on the western side, and I believe the southern side, or just the western side.
Yeah, this is Brian Osborne with Anderson Engineering. Yeah, we Yeah, along the south side, we've reduced the footprints of the buildings to where we're not near the neighbors anymore, so we can keep a lot of that existing vegetation. We're gonna add and cluster all that vegetation around where our buildings are gonna be, along with a fence to where it's as least impactful as possible to the neighbors.
We certainly appreciate that, and it looks like that y'all have been listening to comments from the neighborhood. A lot of times it's hard to see, exactly what something's going to look like. Would y'all be willing to have another community meeting with the neighborhood?
Does that need to be advertised with them, or should we just call a meeting and?
I think there are a number of representatives from the neighborhood here that are in touch with pretty much everybody that would be interested. I mean, if that would be acceptable to the neighborhood, would you post a sign at least on the property to let them know when and where that's going to be?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this would be a voluntary meeting. There's no need to provide the certified mail notice for this kind of thing. 'Cause it's
There's
not-
no time delay that we would have to, because advertising.
And we really don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would like to meet as soon as possible to make sure that their concerns are being heard. And y'all would like to meet as soon as possible to make sure you've considered any of those things that you can in your resubmittal. So my recommendation would be to try to do it as soon as possible. I would recommend putting up at least some sign notice, just.
I believe we can do that. We can achieve that. We just need to get the contact information, although we do have the public comments by email. And anybody that wants to get in touch with us, we can step outside and get their contact information and set that up.
Did you folks hear that in the back? Okay, very good. Recommend a motion?
Yeah, staff would recommend continuance to the December 15th TRC meeting.
We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? None. This item is continued to the December 15th Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Thank you all very much. That will move us to agenda item number 5, Villages of Santa Rosa. Major development review by Bob Baronti. Bob, if you could introduce it for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As you said, this is the Village of Santa Rosa, project number MAJ 21000020. It's a major development application submitted by David Forstrom on behalf of VT Enterprises, requesting to develop 34 townhomes and associated infrastructure on 4.30 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in the zoning district of neighborhood infill. The property is located in District 5, and the parcel numbers are identified in your staff report. Mr. Chair, may I enter the staff report in the record?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, there are a number of comments from the original review that still haven't been addressed. We have a meeting, as you know, scheduled for Monday to review this with the applicant. Didn't see David here.
Do we have anybody representing the project here this morning? Looks like we need to continue this until we have our meeting on Monday.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue this to the December 15th TRC meeting to allow for resubmittal and readdress comments.
We have a recommended motion. We have a motion at the dais.
Motion to continue.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to December 15th,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
8:30 a.m. in this location. This moves us to item number 6, the Dolphin Drive Subdivision. It's a minor development reviewed by Kelly Schultz. Kelly, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. This is a request to approve a project by development order. The project number is MIN 21000052. It's a minor development order application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of Michael Smith, requesting approval to develop 14 single-family lots and associated infrastructure on 2.52 acres of land with a future land use category of residential in a zoning district of neighborhood infill. The property is within District 5. It's located north of 30A, south of 98, north of Dolphin Drive at its intersection with Charming Way. Parcel number is in your packet. In your staff report, there were some emails from people that own property adjacent to this project site. I believe they're all on Spotted Dolphin Drive. Since then, there's been one additional email that's come in. I have copies if you'd like, or we are going to request to continue this application, so I can just include it in the next packet if that, whichever you'd prefer. I just want to make sure that that person is, that her comments are part of the record.
Yes, we can enter that into the record.
Okay. Sure. And I'd like to ask for the staff report itself, in addition to this other email, to be entered into the record.
Also entered.
Thank you.
I would like to just say one thing. We had a meeting on this particular project with our staff and the applicant and his agent, and I thought it was a very productive meeting. However, I came away with one understanding that was apparently not the same understanding as everyone else with regard to what was going to be proposed on the northern boundary of the property. And the style of houses that were going to be there. So, I mean, and I think I'm the only one that came away with that different understanding, so I apologize for that. But it may affect what we talked about, so we probably need to sit down again on this. And I would suggest that we include a representative of the neighborhood. Not 20 people, but 2 or 3 people maybe that could speak for their neighbors. And I think we've had some of those folks that have been active that could represent their neighbors' interest. But I think it'd be a good idea since once we make this decision, it goes straight to development order. And I know time is money. The applicant has spent time and money on this. They've been very cooperative, meeting with us and trying to resolve any of these compatibility issues, and we appreciate that. What I would suggest is we try to schedule this meeting just as quickly as we can, both for the benefit of the applicant and the benefit of the neighbors who have outstanding concerns. But time is money, and that's not lost on us. And the sooner we get these concerns addressed, the better for all of us. Project can move forward. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that the proposed use is eligible within this zoning district, and this site is going to get developed. We've just got some minor details to work out so that the project can proceed. But I mean, it's not a stop development kind of circumstance at all. It's making sure that what is being proposed is the best fit for the proposed site, and it's economically feasible for the applicant. And that's sometimes a very fine line to balance, but I think a little bit more discussion of this might help us get closer to where we need to be on that.
All right.
Comments
Dean
from the
Burgess
applicant?
with Emerald Coast Associates. We did have a meeting last week and appreciate staff's time. We're willing to meet again on this, to iron out any of the last details, and we agree to another meeting with staff, and we'll coordinate directly with you in order to put that meeting together as soon as we can.
Okay.
We are in the process right now. Where we left it is it's our turn to go back and retool and respond to the outstanding comments, and the sooner we can do that, the better.
I think we may have some representatives from the neighborhood this morning that might want to at least speak, and let's hear from them and get their thoughts.
Good morning, Ted Moyer. I'm a resident of Spotted Dolphin. No issues. I couldn't echo more what you said. I think, lifelong decisions that are going to be made, and we certainly want to be good neighbors. Didn't ever expect that we weren't going to try to do that. So Gary Fleming or myself, Gary's been the prime mover and certainly would be available to meet and appreciate, not all 20 residents. Gary certainly can be a voice for the neighborhood or myself, whatever the case may be. So appreciate everybody working hard on that and the ability to come together and see what we can get done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak? Thank you, sir. Then I'd ask Kelly if you could coordinate this meeting with both the residents and Dean. I'd suggest we have it at our office, just for the convenience. I guess our convenience. I'll admit that. So,
We'll make it happen on our side.
but it would certainly facilitate the meeting happening sooner than later, and I think sooner rather than later is the best idea here. So if y'all can take care of that. We need to continue this morning, so we need to have time to have the meeting and for y'all to have time to resubmit and us to have time to review. I mean, is December 15th a reasonable time frame?
I believe it is.
Would that be your recommendation?
Yes, sir. I was going to ask the applicant if they felt that would give them enough time. I know we've got Thanksgiving coming up and, coordinating everybody's schedules. So I think the 15th is fine with me, as long as they feel like we can get all parties together and then them have the opportunity to address the comments, because I believe that, the outcome of that meeting may potentially impact the
Well, they need to
the
be able to
design.
finalize their resubmittal.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's important that we address these questions and see if there's anything beyond what's being proposed that could be accomplished or not.
Yes,
We
sir.
just need to finish.
Yes, sir.
And we're sort of running out of time here this year, so and I know the end of the year is an important development deadline, so and the neighbors want some resolution of their concerns also as soon as possible. So
The only other thought that I had on that was, once we do get the resubmittal, I know that there were some, for example, the stormwater was being redesigned based on ICPOW concerns. And so our staff is going to need the opportunity after the resubmittal to re-review.
well,
So,
yes, we
yeah.
are going to have to review what's being resubmitted. So yes, that reinforces the need to try to schedule this just as soon as we can. So
Okay.
I'll certainly make myself available at the convenience of the parties. So we'll entertain a motion to continue to December 15th at the dais.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the December 15th TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in
Thank
this
you.
location.
Thank you.
all. And that will move us to item number 7 on our agenda, which is the Alys Beach, George's Restaurant Edition. This is a minor development reviewed by Tim, and Bob is standing in for Tim this morning. Thank you, Bob. Could you introduce this one for us?
Yes, Mr. Chair, as you said, this is Alys Beach, George's Restaurant Edition. This is project number MIN 21000063. This is a minor development order on behalf submitted by Interlight Engineering on behalf of EBSCO Gulf Coast Development Company requesting approval for a 569 square foot addition to the existing George's Restaurant on 0.23 plus or minus acres with a future land use of mixed use in the zoning category of traditional neighborhood development. The property is located in District 5 and the parcel number is identified in your staff report. Mr. Chair, may I enter the staff report in the record, please?
So entered, Bob.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, there are only minor comments. There's no reason why we couldn't progress with this project. The agent is here to speak, and if you don't have any questions for me, I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Ryan Price from Anderson Engineeri. The only comments that I believe we had was from planning. Those response to comments were submitted earlier this week. If there's any other questions that anybody has, feel free to ask them as best as possible.
Any other questions from the TRC?
Just to clarify, the staff report states that the engineering comments weren't received, but I did review this, and of course, it's just an addition for the back of the house, I believe. So, our letter that we issued, we didn't have any comments. So we're good.
Right. Yep.
I know Health Department, this is, water and sewer is already provided to this particular site, so no issue there. Any fire questions?
No, you guys will submit plans at some point.
Mosquito control?
Sure.
Emergency management? I don't think we have any other questions. The comments, or the outstanding comments, certainly appear to be minor, and if you've already resubmitted those, thank you for that. We'll entertain a recommended motion.
Chair, make a motion to conditionally approve pending resubmittal and approval of all comments and move it to the development order stage.
Thank you, Bob. We have recommended motion. We have motion at the dais.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? I see none. This item is conditionally approved to move forward as stated. That appears to conclude our agenda this morning. Thanks to everyone for coming and for everyone's civility. We will stand